No, not that. Your shirt.
My shirt? You never seen this
what's
before?
what's on your fracking shirt, dude? I know it's ghouls. Looks like ghouls, dude. You got Frankenstein, dude.
What's that?
SpongeBob?
Really?
It looks like a piece of cheese.
Does it look like a book?
No.
Doesn't look
Kinda?
like a book from a movie?
Kinda. Is it the Evil Dead? Is that what you got going on here?
Maybe. Is that what that is? Is that the Necronomicon?
The Necronomicon.
It's the Necronomicon.
Do you have an Aperol hat?
I do.
Dude, fuck you. I'm so fucking jealous of this hat right now.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, man. I love Aperol.
You want to hear the story of it?
Yeah. Hit me up.
I bought it for my girlfriend, and she was like, that hat is so ugly. I'll never wear it. And I was like, I'm fucking wearing it. It's awesome.
No, that hat is so sick. I'm upset with Avery for telling you it's ugly. I ain't gonna lie about it.
Like, it's not cool. I'm like, what do you mean? It just says Aperol, and that's all you need.
It literally has an Aperol spritz in a glass on it, dude. It's the coolest shit I've ever seen. I
thought it was sick, too. Thank you for having my back on this, because I thought it was also.
If ever you just don't want it anymore and need someone else to have it, you know a guy.
I think it was like $5 on Amazon if you want to just go ahead and get yourself.
Oh, man, that's a lot. Can I business expense that?
Sure, dude.
I don't think we have that, but we could.
We don't.
Can't you just take out another credit card or something?
I can, but I pay for all the things for the podcast, so that's not fair.
Just joking.
To buy you a hat too.
Yeah, dude. Well, we can split it though.
The hat or everything else that qualifies for this podcast.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I want to be on a credit card with you.
No. Why?
I don't know. I feel like you buy a lot of dumb shit. You buy a lot of necessary things, but I feel like you buy a lot of dumb shit too sometimes though.
I do. I definitely not buy it. I would never not use an expense account to buy the dumb shit that I'm.
Exactly.
So I'm like, oh, free credit. Oh, I'm 21. Let's buy the Necronomicon. I do really want to buy the fake hand from Talk to Me. I want one of those hands you can buy.
I know. They're like $500 though.
It's like $120.
Oh, I thought it was way more than that. Fine, go for it. Put it on the account. We'll let the accountant deal with it when we get one. 10 years down the road, when we finally have enough money for an accountant, we'll be like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with all of this?
Well, with that being said, hello, everyone, or hello, anyone who has ever woken up in all their clothes outside of their house in front of their front door and wondered how they got there. It's another wonderful episode of Horror Whiskey Company.
Boom,
I'm your host, Jimmy.
And I'm Peter.
That's Peter.
That's Peter.
And then we're going to have a wonderful, ghoulishly great time today.
Whoa, dude, that's alliteration, dude. I appreciate it.
I did it for you. So we're going to be talking about some goddamn ghosts, some spooky ghosts.
Spooky ghosts.
Unless this gets moved because the ghosts where Peter is operating at decide to cancel it again, because we did this episode once before.
Yeah, dude, it's hard to really admit that you've been canceled, but we were canceled by the ghosts that live in the scary building that I recorded. We recorded it last time. We were in person, face to face, looking at each other's beautiful eyes. Mm-hmm. And the ghosts had other plans for this podcast. So good for me. I like my friends canceled. Jamie, that is a Taylor Swift reference.
I didn't know it. Is that from the new album?
You didn't listen to Showgirl, dude?
No, I listened to that Wood song. Well, it talks about
Travis Kelce's wiener.
Just getting hammered by Travis Kelce.
Yeah. Good for both of them, honestly.
People are mad, dude.
Why? Mad about what?
She's like, my kids listen to Taylor Swift. And I'm like, dude, she's fucking 35, about to be married. Why can she not sing about her getting
I feel
plowed,
like Taylor Swift made the most hip-hop album she's ever made with this whole thing. There's just songs about her boyfriend's wiener and about how everyone likes talking about her and how she actually likes it. And it's just I feel like she's just listened to way too much late 90s, early 2000s hip hop. Maybe that's a Travis thing. Maybe he's really into it and now she's into it. But yeah, for sure.
Hey, man. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know why we're on this tangent. Actually, I do. I'm sorry.
I did not. Did you listen to the entire Taylor Swift album?
Yeah, I listened to it once through.
How many times did you really listen to it?
Just once.
Nice. Yep. I figured she was going to take a huge hit in her views and listens because Thrice also decided to come out with an album the same day.
Oh yeah,
That's really
you
gonna
like,
take a
oh,
day.
that's tough competition there.
Ooh, this
Dang.
early 2000s post-hardcore band decided also to bring it.
Yeah, well, it's tough being in the same genre and releasing the same music
Yeah,
on the same day when they're the same popular. Like, how do you pick one versus the other for most people? You know,
yeah, exactly.
once, twice, thrice a lady. Jamie, are you ready to freaking get going on this episode, or we want to talk
Yeah.
about some sponsors?
Why don't you tell me what we're going to be talking about tonight?
So in brief, tonight we're covering the Smurl Haunting. Now, this episode we've been working on for well over a month. You know, we were planning on releasing this right at the same time that the Conjuring movie, Last Rites, came out, because that movie tells the story of the Smurl Haunting. So yeah, pretty much it's this crazy ghost story where this family gets affected by these demonic spirits and things like that are hanging out in their house, messing with them. Then the Warrens show up and totally fuck all this shit up. And then they really just kind of
Allegedly.
double down. Allegedly. Yeah, there's a lot of allegedlys in this episode. We'll preface with that. But not really allegedly. I'm gonna feel pretty confident in saying that the Warrens, for the most part, are full of shit. But we'll deal with that
Exactly.
when we get to it.
Burn that bridge when we get to it. That's gotta be a
Jamie,
Taylor
what's the
Swift song.
thing you usually say? It's like,
Without further ado,
alrighty, here we go. So,
we're talking about
buckle in.
sponsors or what? I guess we have the same sponsors as last week.
Dude, like I said last week, ain't a damn thing change. Still drink Pacificos, still drinking that Rittenhouse rye named after that beautiful square in Philadelphia.
I'm also looking forward to when I'm settled at my new home and I can make glorious cocktails themed from the things that you decided that we want to talk about.
I'm also excited for that.
You know, everyone is really missing it. So
they've been asking for it.
Every single person has.
I know they are. I know they have been. And you know what? I'd ask for a little forgiveness from the crowd. We work hard on these things and life is difficult. And sometimes you just have to drink the beer that you have and the booze that you have. And you don't have time to make nothing snooty or fancy. You drink your shots and you drink your beers and you go home.
Sometimes rare editions in this day and age, or
they're getting rare.
Or reading some good news on your paper plate.
Is this a quote?
I was trying to do the Family Matters theme song, but I messed up the lyrics really bad.
Oh.
There must be some simple words inside.
You were so old. I don't even know what Family Matters is. Is that the Bill Cosby one?
Family. That's the Cosby Show, idiot. No.
Oh, this one's with Urkel.
Yeah, it's Urkel.
Yeah, all right.
Did I do that?
See, and like, I don't know, that catchphrase is almost as good as Jinkies, right?
Jinkies is pretty good.
I like Jinkies a lot, man. But I'm you know, that's more in our theme, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Scooby-Doo has a place in my heart. It always will, always has. So
yeah, I think my dog is kind of like Scooby-Doo. Like every time she's scared.
No, your dog is like Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah, I'm always like, oh, ghost, Raggy. But also, Courage also faced all those things. Just someone saying.
So does Stout.
My dog would not. No,
she faces. Dude, you've had that dog in the most haunted of places. Remember when Avery's dad was haunting you?
Yeah.
And then there was Confederate generals that were haunting you.
Her dad does not haunt us. He just hangs out with us.
Watches over. Sorry. I guess there can be good haunts, but I think that's a perfect transition because this is a bad haunt.
Ooh.
And haunting stories mess with us. They get under your skin in ways that logic can't touch. You can tell yourself that it's old pipes or bad wiring, perhaps a raccoon in the attic, but when the house creaks at 2 a.m., who actually buys that? We've all told ourselves that lie and it never works. That's why families like the Smurls grab our attention. Why do we believe some families when they say they're tormented? Why do we believe some hauntings that explode into legend while others fade into obscurity and nothing? Ooh. For more than a decade, the Smurls claimed they lived with a demon, one that scratched, bit, levitated, and even assaulted them. The Warrens swore it was one of the worst hauntings they'd ever seen. But was it real? Or was it another case of belief spinning out of control? Now, Before demons in headlines and before the Warrens and exorcisms, there was just a family living a very ordinary life. And to understand their haunting, we first have to understand the Smurl family themselves.
Can I also add that I forgot I've been really trying to pay attention to your intro because I know you worked really hard on it and I appreciate it a lot. The only thing I can look at is like the fact that you have that skeleton having it.
Yeah, he's holding my mic, dude.
No, it looks like he's like kiss this ring or like a gay guy like, come on, please.
Yeah, dude, bend the knee, dude.
Bend the knee. There you go. That's Hail Hitler right there. That's I would say
whoa.
Pump the brakes, baby.
Can I articulate the shoulder a little bit? I don't know. I'm gonna knock him over.
It's good. I also like your little setup is very, very cute. I like the crow being right there. You got Nasi, you got Jason, you got your skeleton. Dude. Yeah.
Some whiskey here.
Welcome to Hatfield. Like really sets the place, dude. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, I did a lot of work on this one. You know, I feel like the last couple times you can't see it too well behind me, but I got the Michael Myers behind me as well. I've just been, just really trying real hard for you. I do this for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
I bought all those things for you.
You did. Yeah. We were just talking about how much you buy and how much I don't.
You just buy ridiculous shit all the time.
You do buy ridiculous things. For sure.
I was just like looking at you. I'm like, well, yeah, I did.
Look at all the things you bought.
I feel like you bought the Nosferatu, didn't you?
I did. I bought it for you, actually. You just refused to take it with you.
I forgot.
It was a Christmas present.
I definitely forgot, and I'm sorry.
It's cool. He hangs out with me. You didn't like him anyways.
I love how like a nerd, we like literally just keep it in its box.
Yeah, dude, it's untouched. Fair enough. If you let him out, he'll suck your blood, dude. All right. Anyways, without further ado, let's get back into the story. Jack Smurl was born in 1943. He was raised in a devout Catholic home in Pennsylvania. After high school, he joined the Air Force and spent several years stationed in Germany before returning home. Annette, his soon-to-be wife, was born in 1946, grew up just as steeped in faith and family tradition. She was sharp, resilient, and carried the kind of humor that made people feel at ease. Their paths crossed at a company Christmas party in 1967, both working at a local confectionery plant. Jamie, that's a candy shop. Oh. That chance meeting turned into courtship, and soon, by the early 1970s...
Wait for my funny joke. She licked the lollipop.
Ooh, yeah, he sucked on those sweets.
At that candy shop.
Yep. She ate those gumdrops.
Go on.
By the early 1970s, they weren't just building their careers, they were building a family life together. These guys were like unbelievably Catholic, and during the 60s and 70s, they kind of were counterculture to the counterculture, meaning that while everyone else was experiencing the free love movement, these guys were like super religious, couldn't step outside their bounds, were like, oh, we are still so grumpy and we should still be in Vietnam. I'm guessing they were saying that, but I really don't know that. But anyways, Jack and Janet were like so far removed from like the free love movement. They weren't about experiencing things outside the, let's call it like the atomic family or the nuclear family. Jack was the steady one, quiet and hardworking with a reputation for reliability. He was the kind of man that did what needed to be done without any complaint. Janet was resilient and sharp, the kind of mother who could juggle bills, chores, and discipline, all while keeping a sense of humor. Together, they were the kind of couple you could trust your kids or your secrets with. Life for the Smurls wasn't isolated, though. It wasn't just Jack and Janet. Jack's parents, John and Mary, played an active role in raising their kids. This was a generational household, the kind of setup where grandma might be cooking dinner while grandpa fixed the fence. The kids weren't just being raised by two parents, but by an entire network of family traditions and kind of older expectations. Now, like we said, before there used to be this like thought of like a nuclear family, which is like the leave to beaver white picket fence. This goes even deeper than that, where like, oh yeah, we're all kind of living under the same roof at the time. They built their early life in Wilkes Barre, Pennsylvania, a coal town, blue collar, proud, and small enough that everybody knew everyone's business. It was the kind of place where a fight between neighbors became the talk of the town, and where gossip would live longer than truth. Now, we both grew up in small towns. Have you ever noticed that, like, the most ridiculous stories usually do come from these small towns? Kind of like we were talking in the last episode. These Ed Gein stories get so blown out of proportion because there's no one there to really fact check, because people just say whatever the fuck they want, and there's not like a newspaper that's telling people what's happening and what's not. They just get to hear, they just catch hearsay and make whatever story they want out of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I just think like a lot of times when I talk to like someone in my family, they still like let me know about like what's happening in my small town, like drama. So it
Really?
makes sense. Yeah.
I guess I don't live that far enough away from my small town drama anyways to know that like I feel like I hear most of the shit that goes on anyways eventually.
Well, I don't think anyone like still lives in the town. And not a lot of people that you graduated with probably still live in Steamboat.
Not in Steamboat. Oak Creek's a different story.
Exactly. Like, where I'm from in Green River, like I'm sure like 90% of the people that I graduated with probably still live there. I would say 90.
Yeah.
Like still
No.
a lot of people do.
30, 40, which is pretty high.
Mhm.
Maybe 50.
Yeah, I'm probably more 60.
Mhm.
So,
But yeah, I'm like the same place. It's like, yep, a lot of people I knew from high school still there. I'm still here.
mhm.
You know, same shit,
Sure.
different day.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Not
so
a bad place.
no, by all accounts, the Smurls were ordinary, hardworking family. They were faithful. They weren't wealthy, and they weren't powerful, but they were just good people trying to build a life. The kind of family you'd never expect to see in the headlines. They kept their heads down, but fate, as it tends to do, had other plans, and soon everything they had worked for in Wilkes-Barre would be shaken to its core. Now, in June of 1972, disaster struck Pennsylvania. Hurricane Agnes swept through the region, leaving behind catastrophic flooding. Wilkes-Barre, where the Smurls had built their first home, was swallowed by the Susquehanna River. Entire neighborhoods went underwater, and every family that was in the area lost everything. Jamie, do you think that it's a bit coincidence that nature reminds us in these situations how quickly everything can go from 0 to 10 or the opposite way?
Rivers be rivering, dude. That's what happens.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Hurricanes are crazy. Right?
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a hurricane?
Yeah.
Have you really?
I was like a day after a hurricane happened in Ocala, Florida. Like went to visit my sister.
Was it a hurricane in North Carolina? Sorry to interrupt you.
I was already back.
Yeah.
Okay. Hurricane started all that.
Yeah.
I have not survived a hurricane.
Yeah, I've never really even seen a tornado, I don't think, which is crazy because I grew up watching Twister, and it was like one of my, like, I think I've seen them like hanging out at DIA and stuff like that, but I don't think I've ever like seen a legitimate like actual tornado, like some like dust devils and like some little like, I don't know, little cyclones coming from the sky kind of thing, but like I don't think I've ever seen a legitimate tornado.
My brother-in-law and I like drove to one in Laramie once because we were like really close to it. Like,
have you seen the new Twisters movie?
Yes.
Your brother like reminds me of fucking what's his name?
Glenn Powell.
Yeah, Glenn Powell, dude. He's like, "Come on, let's go, dude. We're gonna slam the brakes in and we're gonna ride this thing out." And you're like, "I don't think I want to do that."
No, we went and he's like, "Hey man, this hurricane's like that or tornado like a mile away. You want to go look at it?" I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." My sister got so mad. I'm like, "Yeah, let's go do it."
Anyways, so that's not surprising at all.
That's the closest I've been to a tornado is that.
Yeah. Okay.
There's always some like on the eastern part of Denver, like Aurora and shit, but like, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like when I've been out at DIA, like I know I've like seen them like probably like over the border. You can pretty much see like the Mississippi from Denver, from DIA. I mean the river there. Like, it's, you know, like what, like 1,200 miles or something like that. You can pretty much see that far because there's nothing in between there.
I got your joke.
Just making jokes. I'm sorry.
I know what you're doing.
Anyways, I'm getting back to the story. So after the hurricane, the Smurls family was completely destroyed. Years of saving and stability gone overnight. Alongside thousands of other families, they found themselves displaced, clinging to what little they could salvage. The Red Cross and neighbors helped, but no amount of aid could give them back the sense of security that they had lost. Now, forced to start over, Jack and Janet searched for a new home. What they found wasn't exactly perfect, but it was quite practical. A duplex on Chase Street in West Pittston, Pennsylvania. Modest, affordable, and available when they needed it most. As I'm writing
That's what
this, I
she-
always
that's
like,
what she
I
said.
have to stop and think, yeah, it's modest, affordable, and available when you need it most. I don't know. It's a duplex, and I feel like there's something just kind of funny and silly about the duplex, like a duplex being the most haunted place. It's like you have really shitty roommates next door, and that's the problem with a duplex is you can never really bargain for who's next door.
Unless you own it.
Unless you own it. And then you can just boot them out, which the Smurls did own it. So the arrangement was very straightforward. Jack and Janet lived on one side with their daughters, while Jack's parents, John and Mary, lived on the other side. They sold half of their home. Okay, and this is in what are we in 73, I think, at this point. They sold half a duplex for $4,000. I don't know what the inflation on that, but that's got to be a smoking deal no matter how you slice it. It kept the family close. No, I just did I plan it? Yeah, of course I planned this whole thing. But
right.
yeah. Anyways, it kept the family close, but gave each household a bit of independence, right? So they're not just sharing, like, it's not the old school style that they kind of were in, where it's like, I think of like an old farmhouse. I don't know if you had like grandparents like this, but like my grandparents out in the East Coast had like a house that literally maybe had 10 bedrooms in it, because they just expected households and households of people to live in there until they found somewhere else to build another house full. And they just kind of like, maybe like that house would eventually fold or something like that. But like, this is like a much more reasonable thing where we're not all going to live together anymore. We can have separate houses. They're just going to be connected by a wall. So anyways, I don't know. I had the scariest my grandparents' house was the scariest fucking thing ever. There was like a part of the house in upstate New York, like an hour south of Rochester area. There's parts of the house that I still have never been in, never seen a light on. In the entire part of the house, there's like, I don't even know where the doors go. There's a staircase that leads down to a door. It's not like the staircase leads down to like a landing. It just leads down to a door. And I don't know what the fuck is down there.
Really?
No, I still have no idea. It's got to be haunted. The house has to be 100 years old. And there's at least 10 bedrooms in the house. And then I don't know what's down the stairs. There's no light going down the staircase. Anyways, we don't need to get into that. I'm just saying, like, this isn't that kind of house. This is a nice, updated, modern duplex for the 70s that you don't have to live with your parents anymore. Because who wants to do that when you're especially married? But pretty much anytime.
Yeah.
So for several years, life of the duplex was quiet, easy. Jack worked his factory job. Janet managed the home. The girls grew up, and the grandparents stayed involved. After the upheaval of the flood, the duplex offered exactly what the family wanted: ordinary days. They had no way of knowing that this duplex, the very place that saved them after the flood, would soon become their own prison. And the name Smurl would be forever tied to the darkness that moved in with them, making this duplex a triplex. Just Thank you for that. I appreciate you laughing.
The ghost built another section, an add-on section.
Yeah, they just kind of like didn't tell them they already there, and all of a sudden, here we go. Have you seen the duplex? It's like really scary looking to begin with.
Be with Ashton Kutcher and Brittany Murphy.
Is that called the duplex?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just Married.
I think that's the same, different. I think there's also a movie called The Duplex with the same people.
Oh, this one's definitely not the right one. This one's looks like a Japanese movie. I don't think this is correct. Duplex film released in the UK is a 2003 American black comedy film directed by Danny DeVito. Is that the one you're talking about?
Maybe. Sounds great.
It has Ben Stiller and Drew Barrymore?
Our House. That's what I was thinking of.
You sure it's not Ben Stiller and Drew Barrymore?
Yes, it is. It's Ben Stiller. I see it now, but yes, this is called. It's not called The Duplex. It's called Our House. Sorry, I've seen it once, and it
in the middle of the street.
Yeah, I've definitely never seen it since then. I probably saw it in 2004, and that was it.
Our House. So what was it? It was called not Euro Trip. What was it called? I'm not gonna look up Ashton Kutcher right now. We're just not gonna even deal with it. All right.
Okay.
Back to the story at hand. For the first few years in the duplex. Life was uneventful, predictable, ordinary. Jack worked, Janet raised the girls, and the grandparents provided some stability. But over time, quietly, almost imperceptibly, things began to change. It started out with the kind of moments you could brush off, laugh about, or even chalk up to imagination. Sometimes a door left ajar or a sudden draft when the windows were shut. A sound from upstairs when no one was there. Literally tonight, I've already heard that. These weren't the sort of things you'd call a priest about. They were the kind of things you'd mutter about when grabbing another drink or a cup of coffee in the morning.
Call the
Kind of makes me think.
Call the coroner.
Are you just saying just at any time you think something's up? Should I have him on speed dial? Should I be aware of this? Are you singing a song that's already written?
Yeah, dude, it's John Legend.
I just
You heard that?
Again, you just every single episode, I want you to just like put together the playlist of songs that go through your head as I narrate stories.
Call the police. Call the coroner. Isn't this from
Shut the fuck up. No, I'm never going to know what you're talking about. I don't know who John Legend is.
He's married to that girl from TV. Have you never watched
Chrissy Teigen?
Yes. Have you never watched Inglourious Bastards?
Yeah.
Yeah, that song is literally flooded.
I'm sorry, I must have missed it. So I had a question, right?
Yes.
Do you ever think that, so a lot of the times we cover these stories, they usually start as this like really quiet things or like very small things. Is that how normal hauntings just begin? It's never like this huge crazy like bombardment of things, right? Like how many stories do you know that are just like, whoa, like Inception, where it's just like, whoa,
you just walk in and they're just like demons fucking
you beat the fuck out.
No.
No, because right, it never happens that way because you'd fucking leave if that happened, right? And it would never be a story. You just be like, yeah, there's something fucked up about that house. I got punched as soon as I walked in. Whereas if it's like, hee, I moved your lip gloss.
I'm in the walls.
I turned the water to cold.
It's always like this nice Christian family that's really having a hard time living.
They just work so hard.
Moves to a nice, cheaper house. They don't know why it was so cheap.
They never know. Why don't they fucking ask?
Little Cindy keeps hearing noises. And the mom's like, there's nothing going on. She's like, I'm pretty sure there's some sort of demon here.
There's devils in them walls. Anyways, just something I was like, I don't know if I've ever heard of like a story where it starts as just like, yep, every time you walked into this house, you got punched in the fucking face by a demon. Just like never happens like that because
a Marvel movie version of like The Conjuring. You walk in your face, ghost the whole time. None of that pussy ass logic. There's no such thing as
what
dialogue.
The fuck is subtlety?
The second you walk in, there's ghosts.
There's ghost dicks everywhere. So, speaking of which, the Smurls began noticing persistent oddities. Drawers that slid open on their own as if unseen hands had tugged them. Radios snapping on and off at all hours. Fresh coats of paint were ruined by stains that returned no matter how many times the walls were scrubbed. One day a stain appeared on the rug in the dining room. Janet cleaned the rug thoroughly, only for it to reappear the next day. After several more rounds of cleaning, the stain returned, and eventually the Smurls threw the rug away. However, this rug would bear the same stain the day after it was placed in the dining area as when they threw it away. At first, it seemed like ordinary annoyances were like this was ordinary annoyances of an old duplex, but soon the patterns began to pile up, and each incident chipped away at their ability to ignore it. Now, Janet, more than anyone, was the first to sense that something wasn't right. She would hear footsteps crossing the floor when the girls were sound asleep. She caught whispers from empty rooms of her own name, faint, unintelligible, but undeniably human. Objects seemed to vanish and then return, not where she left them, but in strange places, like someone was playing a game with her. At night, the sensation of being watched lingered until she could barely breathe. She tried to dismiss it, to tell herself that she was tired, that stress made her paranoid, but that nagging feeling never went away. Now, Jack, practical as ever, was not swayed by any of this. He dismissed everything, the noises and flickers, as quirks of the duplex, faulty wiring, loose pipes, neighbors shifting on the other side of the wall. For Jack, every problem had a reasonable explanation. He wanted logic, not mystery. But logic didn't make Janet feel any safer. Now, Jamie, as a partner, right? Let's say your partner comes to you and is like, hey, this is fucked up. These things are happening. Do you respond in like the fuck off? This is the logical things. It's the pipes. It's an old place. It's whatever. Like your personal, like, how do you go about this? Or, I mean, I guess I know because like you're like me and you're going to be like, no, we're definitely haunted. Let's find it.
Depends on the situation, though. Most of the time, I'd be like, yeah, there's fucking ghosts here. But if it's like subtle, like, I'm like, it's a pipe.
Is it ever enough for you to be like, hey, we need to do something about it?
I've never.
Right, like, say this rug, right? Like this rug situation. Let's say Avery's just like cleaning a rug, and all of a sudden she's like, hey, like, I can't get, like, I wash it, it's gone. The next day it's back. You look up at the ceiling, there's nothing in the ceiling that shows that there's like some weird, like, when does the denial of what's happening, like, become something other than interest and something that you actually do something about?
Second wash.
It's like after happens more than once.
Yeah. Fool me,
all right.
Fool me once.
Shame on you. Fool me twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't be fooled again.
Oh,
it's fair. You and Bush are the same.
Which one? Herbert Walker? W.
Dubs for sure, dude. Dubs for sure. Yep.
Yeah,
you're practically the same person. We should get him on the show if we can.
No, he probably won't come on.
We'll send him an email, see if he responds.
You're too liberal, dude.
I have never expressed a liberal thought on this podcast.
Not once.
Ever. Anyways, speaking of all this shit, so
come on, George Bush. He's not
liberal. Debate me on the podcast. Prove me wrong.
He's like, man, I'm 70. I'm 78, a billionaire. Still kind of own the Rangers. I don't need to talk to you.
Listen, man. Hey, little buddy. You think you can come tell me something? But you can't. But you won't. Can't. That's my George Bush impression.
It's all for oil, obviously.
Yeah, I love oil, man. But hey, you don't know nothing about my life and how I've always been reciprocated and stuff.
Could you imagine if it was just for oil this whole time and that's it?
Oh, I don't like to do that. No, I don't like to play those mind games, dude. Enough with the what ifs, right? Let's get back to another what if. I'm just kidding. Eventually, it wasn't just Janet anymore. John and Mary, the grandparents on the other side of the duplex, began to notice their own disturbances. They complained of foul, sour smells like rotting meat that would appear and vanish without a source. They described hearing voices low and muffled, drifting through empty rooms. At first, they thought it might be the television or perhaps neighbors walking outside. But when they checked, there was nothing. The realization that they were too experiencing these things changed everything for both of the families. By the late 1970s, the disturbances were no longer isolated quirks. They had grown louder, stronger, and impossible to dismiss. At one point, when Jack was relaxing, watching a Western featuring John Wayne, the TV spontaneously exploded and burst into flames. What had once been a duplex filled with ordinary family life now carried a different weight. Rooms felt heavy and nights felt long. The refuge that saved them after the flood was turning into something else entirely. Something darker, something alive.
There's
Can you
no
imagine just sitting there and just like...
There's no way.
Dude, it's in the story, dude. You seen The Conjuring yet?
Have I seen The Conjuring, the original? I haven't seen the new
one.
No,
the fucking Smurl one, dude. Last Rites.
Have you?
No.
Not me either. So
I'm sure it's a good scene now.
Have you ever heard of a TV exploding other than this situation in your entire adult life?
There are so many times that spontaneous combustion happens, dude. Notice
really?
I did not say human combustion, but spontaneous combustion. These things happen all the time, dude. Things catch on fire all the time.
What do you mean? A TV?
I have almost set the ski shop on fire 2 or 3 times.
Not because of spontaneous combustion, though.
Yeah. Things blow up, dude.
Things do not. TVs blow
Epoxy
up. Right,
just...
keep going.
Yeah. All right. So...
Keep going. I'm going to look it up.
By the late 1970s, the disturbances inside the duplex had grown impossible to ignore. What began as whispers and footsteps escalated into full-blown assaults on the family's peace of mind. The Smurls found themselves living in a home that no longer felt like theirs. Every hallway seemed charged. Every quiet moment carried tension. Every night became a question of what would happen next. Now, objects didn't just move anymore. They flew. Dresser drawers yanked out with such force that they nearly toppled out. A mirror ripped from the wall crashed to the floor without warning. A framed picture of Christ, the big guy, JC, was hurled down a hallway. Are you ready for the scariest part? Is Stout still in the room? I can't tell.
Yeah, she is. Keep going.
Even the family's dog, the one creature you think would sense danger first, was lifted and thrown violently against the wall. I didn't say it. Did she hear it? I don't want her to
No.
get scared.
It's definitely up.
Oh, she can tell I was talking about it.
She knew.
She's like, hey, that's fucked up, dog. So the horror wasn't abstract anymore. It was physical, violent, and unavoidable. Everyone in the family was shaken and horrified. The sounds intensified as well. Heavy pounding echoed through the duplex at all hours, rattling the walls until dishes vibrated inside cupboards. Loud bangs reverberated as if someone were taking a sledgehammer to the building itself. Doors were slammed shut so hard that the frames of the door cracked. Neighbors began to ask about the commotion, and words of strange happening leaked into the street. The Smurls could only shake their heads. They couldn't explain it either. Jamie, you're the Smurls. What the fuck are you doing in this situation, right? Your whole house is fucking going to shit. You're going to church, right? Because these are God-fearing Christians, right? Catholics, I should say. And everyone's like, yeah, dude, fucking hear the Smurls just fucking slamming doors and fucking screaming at each other the other night. They're like, no. Totally wasn't us. How do you defend something like this?
You call the police or you call the coroner.
You're just going to stick with that one for like most of the show.
No, you should call, like, literally, like, they don't have any money to like go anywhere else. Your parents live right next to you, so you can't like literally go stay with your parents. Like you call the, I guess you call the
yeah, but like how do you like what do you tell the people around you, right? What do you say to the neighbors that live across the street that are like, yo, what the fuck is going on over there?
If there's fucking,
You just tell them to fucking mind their own business.
You say, hey, there's ghosts in my house for sure.
Gold in them hills, and there's ghosts in that basement. All right. Okay.
And
Fair.
Epstein did not kill himself.
So Janet and the girls also reported feeling cold spots, chilling gusts of air. Oh, dude, my little sign.
Oh, now.
Now the skeleton, the bird, can really hang out. Money hoes, cars and clothes, that cars and crows. That's how my bottle roll.
All right. Focus up. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's
So
figure this out.
Janet and the girls also reported feeling cold spots, chilling gusts of air that cut through the rooms regardless of which season it was. At times, the air seemed thick and heavy, like walking into a smoke-filled bar. Hell yeah. Oppressive and difficult to breathe. Lights flickered violently, appliances malfunctioned, and doors just randomly swayed on their own hinges. An overwhelming sense of dread seeped into the very walls, turning bedtime into a gauntlet of fear.
Oh, I hate that.
Whoa. Yeah, like, I don't know.
I hate
every
when
now
my
and then
bedtime
I get sleep paralysis every now and then. Do you ever get that?
No, do you really?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you
Like,
can't move
all
and
night? What?
no, it's usually like I don't know how long it usually actually lasts. It's not one of those things I like can usually time because I like when I was younger I actually used to be able to check time because I used to have like an alarm clock. But like now it's like on my phone and like I don't like my phone doesn't just display what time it is all the time and I don't usually see it.
You get sleep paralysis right now still?
Yeah. But like it's so weird. Like it's not necessarily paralysis. Like your mood, like your body and everything, or at least to me, this is how it feels. It feels like my body is made of sand. And like I try to move something and like I have to like really force it and it moves like this fast. I don't know if you can see how fast this is, but like this is fast for how fast it normally goes.
Very slow.
Like I can't move like my body, like I can still move it technically and like but like rolling over and stuff like that. But like there's this weird overwhelming like pressure that I know that I can feel on like specifically my chest and stuff like that. And my neck and head that like trap me from like being able to move myself. It's kind of what I feel like they're feeling here.
Whoa.
Anyways, let's keep going because I just feel like this is just a totally normal thing, and I thought you'd have it too because you know we're cool like that, but apparently not. So,
well,
anyways,
let's talk about this.
It doesn't
later.
happen super often.
How often? That's crazy.
I don't know. This like in the last 5 years, it's probably happened like 4 or 5 times.
Okay, that's still crazy.
It used to happen when I was a kid. It was like 2 times a month.
You're probably possessed.
It's interesting you say that. I definitely lived in a really scary house when it was like happened a lot. It was this old farmhouse, and I lived in this super sketch basement. There was just like there was literally just me down there and a coal furnace. That's all there was.
Dude, this recipe for a horror movie.
Yeah, dude. I chose it.
Just me and a furnace.
I remember Ursula from The Little Mermaid was like the really scary one. She was like, she like had her tentacles and like was holding me down and I couldn't move one time. And I was like trying to like thrash about and stuff like that and just couldn't move my body at all. Anyways, we're kind of deviating from the story. So I'm gonna keep moving on. But like that's kind of what I feel like they're experiencing, right? Just like a little bit of sleep paralysis. I don't know. Well, anyways, we'll get into all this later. So the family's faith was also tested. Religious pictures weren't just knocked askew, they were desecrated. Cross shook on their nails, some dropping to the floor violently. Rosaries were found completely shattered and snapped, with the beads scattered everywhere. Apparently, they had brought in holy water and they sprinkled it into corners of the house, and it just immediately evaporated or was completely sucked into the floor. So like you'd take this holy water and throw it into the corner and it would just go gone. For a devout Catholic family like the Smurls, this wasn't just unsettling. It felt like a direct attack on their very identity, on the thing that had always grounded them. By now, every member of the household had their own story. John and Mary heard guttural growls echoing in the night, as though an animal was trapped inside the walls of their home. The girls had seen shadowy figures hovering at the edges of their rooms, too vague to recognize, but too real to ignore. Janet claimed unseen hands tugged her hair while she worked in the kitchen or when she lay in bed. Even Jack, who dismissed everything he could, began to admit the duplex no longer felt safe. He tried to cling to reason, but reason was running out. What had begun as a small, almost laughable set of oddities had transformed into a waking nightmare for the Smurls. They had entered a new phase of the haunting, one that would test not only their sanity, but their health, their relationships with each other, and their very survival. Every day in the duplex became a battle between ordinary life and the extraordinary forces pressing in on them. Now, by the early 1980s, the Smurls were completely exhausted. Years of strange disturbances had stripped them of sleep, peace, certainty, and sanity. They had endured years of pounding, like we're talking over 10 years of this kind of shit happening. They had endured years of pounding noises, objects flying, and whispers in the dark. Janet had cried out so many times in frustration. Jack had told her and argued for logic. The grandparents had begged for peace, and the children had grown up under a cloud of fear. They tried ignoring it, praying over it, even reasoning it away, but nothing worked, and they needed answers, and they needed them soon. Right. Jamie, how many years are you sticking in a house that fucks with you like this?
Not 10 years, I can tell you that.
1, maybe?
Yeah.
When your lease is up?
Yeah, we can't buy a house.
Yeah, you're gonna leave. Like, oh shit, my like.
I know
it's January, but we can hang out till June. The lease is up in June. We'll make it.
No way.
Yeah. At what point do you just like you got to cut it at some point? Like I can't believe that the family stayed and just was like, yeah, I guess this is just our fucking life from now on.
Yeah, this shit's made up, dude.
Yeah. So, anyways, at first, before we even get into any of that shit, we're not done with this haunting shit yet. So, at first, the family sought help from the priests in the Scranton diocese. Clergy came, they blessed the home. As we mentioned, they sprinkled holy water. For a few days, peace returned to the home, but then the disturbances started again. However, each time, it would become louder, meaner, as if it was mocking the effort that the diocese was making. Rosaries were snapped, and walls shook, and the air again grew thick. The church hesitated to escalate anything further. Requests for a formal exorcism were met by the diocese with caution, bureaucracy, and honestly, mostly just delay. They were like, hey, like we like went and like did some blessing. Like, I don't think your fucking house is haunted. And we did like the things that we need to do. We're not going to go do an exorcism at your house. In the silence between those visits, the Smurls felt completely abandoned by the church. Do you think they're right to feel that way? Or is the church kind of like, hey, what the fuck is going on with you guys? How would you feel in this situation? And how do you feel as the person that you are now?
Well, did the church help them at all?
Yeah, I mean, they went in there, they said prayers, and
Mhm.
they, sprinkled holy water. They did some blessings on not just the home, but also the family. Everything for the most part that we see in horror movies for the grand scheme of things, like how we understand what happens outside of an exorcism, specifically like administered by someone from the clergy.
Yeah, I think they exhausted their resources. They
Right?
did
They're
what
like,
they could. They did what they could.
yeah.
In
Do you
my
also
book,
understand though, like the Smurls are like whatever, super frustrated by this, or is it just like they need to get the fuck over it?
I can see why they're frustrated because they're also still haunted.
Yeah,
But I can
and they're
see
also
where
pretty much being told that they're kind of crazy by their own, like
10
by the
years, dude.
governing body that like takes care of like that they've lived their entire life by. I could see that being a little
Yeah, I can
frustrating.
see it for sure. But
So, but
it's made up or not.
exactly. But this is from us, and we're not the Smurls, and we're not
10 years?
devoted Catholics. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, 10 years is a long fucking time. I'd be pretty pissed if they were like, yeah, we threw some holy water around later. Imagine, and I don't know how much the Smurls are giving to the church and shit like that, but like, I know that like it's recommended to give like, what is it, like 10% or something like that, like as your tithe to the Catholic Church. I don't know how much money this actually is, but like, they're like, dude, it's been 10 years this shit's happening. How much money have we given you in 10 years? It's got to be like, at the minimum, like $50,000.
Also, tell me it's not a Ponzi scheme. They're like, hey, please give 10,000.
Well,
Please
yeah,
give
for sure. But the
10% of your.
Smurls don't see it as that. They see it as like, this is like the voice of reason in the world, right? Our whole life revolves around this church. And they're like, oh, I don't know, you guys might be full of shit. And we're also like, we're just a little strapped for cash at this moment. We're like not going to do the exorcism thing. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know. I'm just saying.
Hey,
So,
dude, if
anyways,
God is real, he would figure out a way to help all of you.
well, we're about to get to that because frustrated and desperate, Janet confided in her neighbors and also friends of the church. The story soon spread across backyard fences and aftermath conversations. Soon, word reached beyond their block, and the Smurls were connected with a couple already making a name for themselves in the world of the paranormal, Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Mhm.
Self-proclaimed demonologists, veterans of exorcism and investigations, and already cultivating a reputation as America's ghost hunters. By this time, the Warrens' files included the famous Amityville case and multiple appearances in books, talk shows, and newspapers that made them celebrities in the world of hauntings and shadows. Jamie, if the church didn't fuck this up, do you think the Warrens get involved? No? I don't think so either. I think this
like,
whole thing dies if the Warrens don't get involved.
Yeah, I wonder if they reached out to the Warrens at the same time that the church, or like
From what
the
I've
Warrens
seen
were like,
through the
"Oh, the
research
church
that I
said
was able to
no."
do, like it was 2 years after they had, because the church had done, honestly, like we kind of shortened this whole thing up, but the church had done multiple visits to the home and had done their holy water and their blessings and stuff like that, and every time it kind of seemed to like aggravate things, right? But so it wasn't that they finally decided to go to the church and the Warrens at the same time. They had been going to the church for like a couple years, and then finally we were like, oh, have you heard about the Warrens? And they're like, oh, that sounds like a great idea for us. That lands us to the Warrens. Now, when Ed and Lorraine arrived in West Pittston, they didn't come quietly. They brought equipment, tape recorders, cameras, relics from their own personal collection, including crucifixes, holy water from Rome, relics of saints. They came armed with certainty that the Smurls were facing not just ghosts, but also demons. To the Warrens, this was no ordinary haunting. This was spiritual warfare, and they positioned themselves as the only one with the experience to fight it. Now, for the Smurls, weary and desperate, trust in the Warrens came incredibly easy. Any hope was better than no hope at all that they were getting from the church. They sat with Ed and Lorraine, told their stories, and walked them through the entire duplex, both sides, begging for their help. But the family couldn't know that this partnership would change everything for them. The Warrens would not only escalate the claims of what haunted the house, but they would draw media attention, controversy, and criticism while doing so. Before long, the Smurls' private nightmare would no longer be private at all, but would become a national spectacle. Once the Warrens entered this picture, the haunting became something else entirely. They didn't just validate the Smurls' fears, they took a microphone to it and amplified them. Tape recorders were set up to capture voices, sometimes left running all night in hopes of catching even the faintest whisper.
Shut up.
Fucking give me a beer.
It's Jake from State Farm.
It's me, Patrick Mahomes. I'm with Jay. All right. Also, so cameras were placed in corners of rooms to snap any type of movement. Every creak in the house was documented on paper as well as in video recordings. Every whisper logged as evidence, and every unexplained moment cataloged as proof that something extraordinary was unfolding in West Pittston. Jamie, do we think of this whole thing as actual investigation, or is it complete theater? The Warrens making a huge show out of bullshit.
Well, I guess we didn't really hear if the Warrens brought all the media or the Warrens came and the media came with them.
I think those are one and the same.
Yeah.
Right? They're telling everyone, hey, we're going to this house. Meet us there if you want to see some cool shit, kind of thing. Right? Like, who wants to see a big ass stunt?
Who wants to see a big ass stunt? Well,
pretty much that's kind of like how I see it. Like, they're like, not like, hey, there are people, but they're like, hey, you guys have followed us and we're obviously gonna get you front page fucking news. Whatever we say, you can print it and it's obviously gonna blow away any headline you could even have. So, right?
Yeah. Well,
that's just who the Warrens are.
Like, the Warrens the controversy is like the Warrens have been debunked and then called frauds. There's also a lot of people that believe it.
Yeah.
Like, literally, they have Annabelle is their possession.
Yeah. I mean, and not even like we've been talking about Annabelle for the last year because the doll's been on tour and may or may not be responsible for multiple deaths.
Shit has happened in those cities when that doll has been there.
Yeah. So it's one of those things like,
so
I don't know what it's not chicken or the egg, but like, can both things be true? Can the Warrens be so high on their own supply, but also be maybe onto something? I don't know.
Haters gonna hate, dude.
Haters definitely hate.
I want to believe that the Warrens were true.
I want to believe.
I want to believe. What?
Want to believe.
You also want to believe that? Do you believe in life after love?
All this time, but can't get it long enough. Through the investigation, Ed claimed that Lorraine had identified 4 separate entities living inside the Smurl home. Now, there's an older female spirit who she claimed was benign and less threatening. I don't know compared to what, but whatever. There was a male spirit reported to have died in the house or on the grounds. There's also a younger female spirit who was sometimes, Lorraine felt that she was sometimes malevolent, meaning she's bad. And then on top of everything, there's one powerful demon that controlled and amplified the activities of all those 3 spirits that we just mentioned. So I don't totally understand how the female, like the older female spirit, the first one they mentioned, that's like, oh, she's super chill and doesn't really do anything. If the demon is controlling all of these spirits, how does the fucking older female really have anything to say about that? I don't really fucking know. So the Warrens also claimed that they recorded growls and voices, sometimes just fragments, muffled syllables, or guttural sounds. On tape, they were indistinct, but chilling enough to raise hairs on your head. They described objects levitating, chairs skidding across floors, foul odors that appeared suddenly, and dark shadows sliding through rooms. Lorraine, claiming her psychic sensitivity, reported seeing dark, oppressive figures hovering in the duplex, something she called inhuman. Her descriptions painted the haunting not just as a ghost story, but as a confrontation with something beyond human experience. Ed Warren, on the other hand, claimed that during one confrontation he was physically attacked. He was scratched and shoved by an unseen force while praying aloud. He insisted that this proved the Smurls were dealing with something demonic, not just restless spirits. For the family, hearing someone outside themselves confirm their worst fears was both terrifying and oddly validating. They weren't crazy anymore. Something was happening. Whether it was as demonic as the Warrens claimed or not, the confirmation really did keep them from feeling alone in this hell that they were living. This is one of those, like, we talk about whether the Warrens are full of shit, whether the Smurls are full of shit, this kind of thing. If the Smurls are like experiencing something they see as real, do you see why, like, I mean, it's obvious to see to me why something like this would resonate with them. Someone just saying, you're not crazy anymore, right?
Exactly.
Does that kind of,
yeah, after 10 years, or where's that at this point? Like,
well, and especially like, yeah, we're 10 years into this. Well, at this point, like, we're even further along than that. It's like 12 or so. How likely are you to like listen to whatever these people have to say? Considering especially like the people you wanted to trust most, your own church, are like, we don't really get it.
exactly.
You're going to kind of go like hook, line, sinker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
As the Warrens dug deeper, the story began to spread beyond the walls of the duplex in West Pittston. Local reporters caught wind of the haunting, scribbling notes and asking questions that spread faster and farther than answers could keep up. Soon, television crews were parked outside, cameras pointed at this very small, modest home. Neighbors whispered, headlines blared, and the Smurl's quiet street turned into a spectacle. What had once been private torment now belonged to the public. And in this small coal town, nothing could have been bigger news. Again, we both grew up in small towns. Imagine national news reporters showing up at your buddy's house. Would you go there? Or you be like, I'm like, I'm a little indifferent. Like, I can't tell where you'd be. If you'd be like, fuck yeah, I want to go see what's going on. Or if you'd be like, fucking posers, dude. They're just trying to get attention.
No, it depends on the situation. Like,
if you're living next door to the Smurls,
I would just like sit at my house and like kind of look like from the window. I wouldn't like go right up to it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're posers.
You're gonna stick in the window.
No, I'd like to be like right in the driveway. That's what you're saying.
You're not gonna like you're not going over to the house and being like, I have known them for years, blah 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 blah. They're my best friends. But you're also not gonna be like, yeah, I don't know. I kind of know. Like, I'll check out the news report tomorrow to see what the fuck is going on with this place.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. I didn't know, because like I didn't really know where you were gonna land on that, because I could also see you being like, fuck you, Warrens, get the fuck out of here. I can handle this. Me and my buddy Pete, we're coming in.
Well,
we're gonna take care of this. No, not in the 70s or the 80s.
We were there.
Well, I guess you were there in the 80s. I guess some of us can't be quite as old as you are.
Yeah, I was 4.
You have your first EVP. Okay, sorry, bad question. The Warrens spoke openly to the press, describing the haunting as one of the most intense they'd ever faced. As the Warrens continued their visits, the disturbances inside the Smurl duplex continued and reached a fever pitch. What had begun years earlier with footsteps and whispers now escalated into violence that the family said left physical scars. The haunting wasn't just noises or throwing things around anymore. It was violent attacks. Walls shook with force, objects shattered midair, and the once modest duplex became a battlefield between the ordinary and unexplainable. Janet reported being dragged from her bed by an unseen force. At times, she said that she was pinned down by this. Unable to breathe, feeling hands around her throat. It's getting a little steamy. Jack also claimed, and this is crazy, that he was assaulted as well, describing scratches that appeared on his chest and arms, sometimes so deep that they drew blood. Objects hurled themselves across rooms, narrowly missing the children. Kitchen cupboards exploded open, dishes shattering across the floor, and even the family dog, remember the one that was thrown across the room into the wall? I'm sorry, Stout. Refused to enter certain parts of the house, growling at corners where no one was. The most shocking claims were those of sexual assault, however. As we mentioned, Janet alleged that she was molested by this shadow figure, an experience she described as both humiliating and horrifying. Later, Jack would also claim that he was raped by a succubus-like entity while asleep, leaving him shaken and ashamed. I highly recommend anyone who is interested in this case to read the words that Jack explains about this situation, where apparently he like there's a demon and he makes this demon go wild. He makes himself look really good in this uh encounter with a demon. Says that like the demon like starts to like split the earth and shit like that, and really has like he good for Janet, I guess I would say, because if he can do this to a demon, I can't imagine what he can do to a human. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This succubus, who's obviously pretty good at this stuff, seems quite rocked by Jack and his abilities. These were not the kind of stories families invent lightly, and they push the haunting into a darker, even more disturbing territory. The Smurls insisted that these encounters were real, traumas that were layered on top of years of fear and exhaustion. Meanwhile, the Warrens interpreted these events as proof of full demonic possession. Ed claimed he confronted the entity during prayers and exorcism rites, describing guttural voices that mocked him, growls that seemed to shake the furniture. Lorraine insisted the presence was ancient, malevolent, and utterly inhuman, a predator feeding on the family's faith and suffering. To the Warrens, this case wasn't about ghosts anymore. It was about souls, Catholic souls, under siege, and how they presented themselves as the only ones with the tools to fight back. Do you think any of those previous claims we just talked about have anything to do with the Warrens' involvement here?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Do you?
I don't know. I have my opinions kind of structured into this whole thing, but I feel that there's some escalation that like the Warrens get bored of what they're doing and they just keep pushing, like amplifying and moving things further and further, like escalating the stakes of each situation to the point where eventually it's like, oh yeah, for sure, like we were both raped by demons, pretty much is where the Smurls end up. And it's interesting that like, and I don't know the timeline of hauntings and how these things usually happen objectively, because that's not really a thing. It's all subjective, but it just seems so strange that like they spent 10 years with this thing like banging on walls and like maybe like making some noises and stuff like that, but not really at any point do they get aggressive like this until the Warrens show up, and then all of a sudden the Warrens are fucking with them and these claims become larger than life, right? No one's going to pay attention to a headline that says like weird noises coming from the attic. Someone's going to fucking pick up the paper that says man raped by or like man assaulted by succubus in his own bed.
Hey, baby.
Yeah, dude. National Enquirer, all over that shit. Priests were finally again brought in, some supporting the Warrens' conclusions, others far more cautious. Several exorcisms were attempted. Priests recited in Latin. Holy water, again sprinkled, dried up immediately. Relics were brought into the home, but each attempt seemed to only inflame these disturbances. The growls grew louder, objects flew further, and the Smurl's sense of safety dwindled even more. Janet described nights where the house felt alive. Walls felt like they were breathing air thick with menace. If this was a battle for their home, they were losing. As word spread of these violent claims, the media coverage intensified. Headlines focused on the most horrifying details: possessions, sexual assaults, demons overtaking a duplex. Newspapers framed it as the duplex of dread. Television anchors teased the story before commercial breaks, and radio call-in shows debated whether it was real or a hoax. The Smurls became both victims and celebrities, their story dissected by believers, skeptics, and thrill seekers alike. Their private hell had become national theater, and the more they insisted on their suffering, the more sensational the headlines became. Now, by this stage, the haunting wasn't just a matter of faith or fear. It was a cultural event. Families tuned in to watch the Smurls story unfold. Paranormal enthusiasts were traveling to West Pittston to catch a glimpse of the infamous duplex, and skeptics sharpened their pens. The case had transcended the walls of the Smurl home and entered the folklore while they were still living in it. By the late 1980s, the Smurl haunting had captured national attention, but with publicity came skepticism. Journalists, neighbors, and even some clergy began to question whether the events were as supernatural as the Warrens and the Smurls had claimed. Neighbors told reporters that they had never witnessed the disturbances firsthand. Some admitted that they had heard noises, but nothing that convinced them that demons were actually at work. Skeptical investigators suggested ordinary causes: faulty plumbing, settling foundations, families fighting, and even the power of suggestion amplified by stress and fear.
Yeah.
The press also turns its lens onto the Warrens themselves. Critics pointed out that many of their famous cases, from Amityville to Enfield — do you know the Enfield poltergeist story?
Mhm.
This old church over in England, no big deal. Check out the second Conjuring if you want to know that one. Were dogged by accusations of exaggeration and or fabrication. To skeptics, the Smurl case looked like another chapter in the Warrens' growing portfolio of profitable hauntings. For the Smurls, however, the skepticism was crushing. They had endured years of terror and humiliation only to be painted as liars, attention seekers, or at the very least, pawns of the Warrens. Jack and Janet insisted they never wanted fame, that the media circus had been forced upon them, but public doubt was harder to fight than any unseen force. I don't know if all of this is necessarily true. The Warrens are the only people to have released an official book about this and have secured the rights to discuss this story.
Really?
The Smurls have never been involved in the books themselves. And we'll kind of get into the books a little bit later, but they were never really involved and didn't receive any monetary compensation for any of this. So other than maybe being headlines, they didn't really get anything out of this. Well, kind of. I mean, like, definitely bums. But if this whole thing is made up, kind of bums too, but it could be worse. It could have actually happened, and you didn't get anything. Oh yeah. So eventually, this whole Smurl frenzy quieted. By the early 1990s, the Smurls had moved away from the duplex, hoping to leave their nightmare behind. The house on Chase Street still stood, but its reputation lingered. To some, it was proof of demonic activity, and to others, it was a story spun out of fear, faith, and publicity. And in that ambiguity, the legend of the Smurl haunting began to endure. Even after the Smurls left the duplex in West Pittston, the haunting refused to fade from public memory. Books, articles, and even made-for-TV movies ensured that their story would live on, whether people believed in it or not. In 1986, the book The Haunted was published. Now, this book was co-written by the Warrens, chronicling the Smurls' ordeal in vivid detail. To believers, it was a documentation of one of America's most terrifying hauntings. But to skeptics, it was a sensational account designed to sell. Either way, it cemented the Smurl haunting in paranormal literature and lore forever. The story went further in 1991 when CBS released a made-for-TV film based off of this book, also called The Haunted. Millions watched as actors portrayed Jack and Janet's torment, bringing their nightmare into living rooms across America. The line between fact and entertainment was blurred even further through this film. For many, the movie became their first exposure to the case, forever shaping how they thought of the Smurls. Over time, the Smurl haunting became less about what happened inside the duplex, more about what the duplex and the haunting represented. This tension between faith and skepticism, the hunger for sensational haunting stories, and an uneasy partnership between families in crisis and paranormal investigators who claimed to be helping them. Jamie, outside of the Warrens, do we see, I mean, I guess, I don't know, there's this really tough thing that, like, I still, as someone that is into this stuff, like, struggle with. Like, if you claimed yourself a paranormal investigator, say you had all the gear, and you bring in a team to video it and do all this stuff, like, is there still something dirty about, like, morally ambiguous, I guess I would say, or morally wrong about publicizing your investigation of a family that's being tormented by these things?
No, not really.
Can you do it in a right way, or is there a right way and a wrong way to do it, or is it just kind of just one of those things you kind of can't get around?
We're doing the same thing right now. That's the way I see it.
I guess. Yeah, for sure. We're not making any money off this, though.
No, but like literally we're intrigued and we're reporting it. I guess it
Yeah,
has to do with
you're right.
how the Warrens went about it.
And position
We don't
themselves.
know. Yeah. If they called every single news spot to like bring it over, that's one
Yeah.
thing. But
Yep.
if they were like literally went there and like people are like, oh, the Warrens are going somewhere, that's another.
Yeah, fair. Today, the Smurl Haunting sits in the same cultural space as Amityville, Enfield, and other infamous cases. Believers still cite it as evidence of the demonic. Skeptics dismiss it as the Warrens' exaggeration. But either way, this story endures. It's passed on, it's debated. We're discussing it right now. It's remembered long after the family themselves tried to move on. And if it sounds familiar, that's because this fall, circling back, The Conjuring Last Rites brings the Smurl case to the big screen for a new generation and the final installment in the Conjuring universe.
We'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. They said it's like, oh, it's the last one, but like this wasn't even their last case that they covered. I don't know why they're calling it the last. They're just gonna have so many, like, this case was so crazy. So many ridiculous things happened that it's not surprise. Like, I could see them ending on this and being like, Ed and Lorraine, thank God they were here to help this family through this crazy story that happened. In the end, the Smurls never found the peace that they had hoped for in the house. They moved away, leaving behind the four walls that had witnessed years of fear, faith, and controversy. But even as they tried to reclaim their privacy, the haunting never left them, in memory and reputation, and the questions that it left behind. Jack and Janet always maintained until their deaths that what happened in West Pittston was real. They claimed they never sought celebrity. They said only help. The children grew up under a shadow of a story bigger than themselves, part cautionary tale, part legend. This is like one of the crazier things about this story, and you've like mentioned it here and there, like especially when we were talking about the Mothman, that like, oh yeah, your mom like at one point just subtly dropped it, like, oh yeah, I've seen the Mothman.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine if your entire childhood is shaped by this event, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, whether, like, especially if it didn't happen the way that they're claiming it happened, and this whole thing is kind of blown up by the Warrens, how that kind of fucks with, like, I have difficulty remembering my childhood anyways, let alone if you have someone else telling you that you were, like, haunted by demons your entire childhood, how that would shape you as a human. I can't imagine how that would feel. For the Warrens, the Smurl case became one more notch in their legacy, a dramatic tale that reinforced their identity as America's foremost demonologists. For skeptics, it became another example of this exaggeration that the Warrens always played in, of stories stretched far past their breaking point. And for the Catholic Church, it was one more question unsolved, a case never fully endorsed by the church, but also never dismissed. Is this the Smurls story, or is this the Warrens story? Who has the right to tell this story? That's an actual question to you.
It's a Smurl story, for sure. But in real life, it's the Warrens story because that's where they made it.
Right? They kind of sound, that's the weird thing that, like, it always just kind of bothers me about it. It's like, this is the Smurls story, and the Warrens can be a part of that. But at some point along the way, the rights are signed for this story away from the Smurl family to the Warrens so that they can write their book about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it has just a feeling about that kind of situation, just has this feeling that, like, it just doesn't feel right. It makes me uneasy about the story, and just like, I don't want to just jump in and be like, yes, this is so real, even though we've already expressed we want to believe, we want all this to be real. It still has this like ting of, or like a pang of some kind of, it's a con of some sort, or it's overplayed, or it just doesn't. Yeah. So today, the Duplex still stands. New families have lived there without reporting any of the horrors that the Smurls described. To some, that's proof that the haunting was exaggerated. To others, it's a reminder that evil doesn't stay in one place forever. It comes and it goes, and it chooses its victims. The Smurl Haunting decades later is less about demons in a duplex and more about why we need stories like these. They mirror our fears, our faith, and our fascination with the unknown. Whether you believe it was demons, hysteria, or something in between, the Smurl story endures because it forces us to ask the oldest of questions, what if?
Exactly.
And with that, we are now at the end of the Smurl family haunting, from a young couple building their life in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, to years of unexplained terror in West Pittston, to becoming a national headline, and finally the legend that they are today. Whether you believe they battled demons or just the crushing weight of stress and attention, the Smurls story leaves us with questions worth asking. What do we think? Were the Smurls victims of genuine haunting? Were they exploited by the Warrens? Was this all just a mix of fear, faith, and folklore spun out of control? What do you think, Jamie? Oh, there's a dog behind you, just so you know.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, whose dog?
Do I think it's all exploited by the Warrens? No.
No.
If it was, I think it would be, 10 years of like a haunting?
Yeah.
Or like, there's no way, even in the 70s, that the Warrens didn't hear of this, like, right off the bat, to like go and run and like make money off of it. So in my head, there was something that happened, and it wasn't just the Warrens exploiting it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm of the same belief. I think that the Warrens did not do the Smurls any favors necessarily. I think that they took a story that, or like a haunting that I think the Smurl family legitimately was experiencing some kind of paranormal activity, and the Warrens came in and pressured them into making it something more so that they could sell headlines. But I think at the bottom of it, they legitimately experienced a haunting and were quite terrified of it and needed help. And unfortunately, the Warrens were the ones that showed up for them. They asked the church to do so, and the church kind of denied them. And I think without the church saying no, I don't think we have this story the same way that it is today. The Warrens were such a marketing department on top of a paranormal research, on top of whatever else they described themselves as, that it's impossible to say that the Warrens didn't play a huge role in how crazy this story got.
Well, you think about it, like, one hand, you want the Warrens to be like genuine and just ghost hunters, and then like that's all they care about. And then the other hand is you're the Warrens that like want to continue hunting ghosts and doing all this.
It's how they make their money.
How they make your money. Exactly.
It's their job to do this.
So yes, they're definitely writing books. They're doing all that. They're bringing media. Could it be discredit? Yes. Could it be the fact that they're like trying to make their livelihood by funding it through, say, the
nefarious
70s influencers? Yeah.
They are like the earliest influencers, I would say.
Well, you think about it, like, literally, like you said multiple times on this podcast that you would not be close at all to the Annabelle at all.
No, dude, I don't fuck with that.
Yeah. So do you think that's...
There's something about it that I like. I think the Warrens are totally full of shit, but I think that they made up and exaggerated things to make them more interesting. But that doesn't mean that the underlying thing that they're there for doesn't exist either, right? Like we mentioned earlier, both things can be true. The Warrens can be, let's call them marketing geniuses and overselling whatever it is that they're doing. And they can also be experiencing real life paranormal activity.
I guess the only people that actually know are Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yep. And the Smurls.
Kids. Maybe Annabelle and the Smurls.
You think Annabelle, she's still here. We can interview her. Let's try to get her. We'll try to get her next week. With that being said, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Next week, we're going to have Annabelle the doll on. We're going to interview her. Should be a riveting episode. I heard she's a big talker.
She doesn't do this at all. One of us is going to die from natural causes.
Bet it's you. I bet it's you.
Why? Because I'm older?
Well, I guess you're closer, so I'm assuming that Annabelle's going to be on your end.
Your end.
Although I'm through the screen, I don't know. I've heard that she can do that too.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But you're going to be in the same room with her, so.
Robert can, dude.
Anyways, guys, if you have any questions you need to ask Annabelle, please send them to us, DM us, comment them on any of the videos you see, because we want to ask her, like, this isn't going to be a fucking softball interview with Annabelle. This is going to be, we're going to grill her. right? I feel like Annabelle is one of those characters. She just glides along in the media and everyone just kind of gives her a pass because she's a little doll. But like, I'm tired of that. I think that we need to get Annabelle. We're going to talk politics. We're going to talk religion. Okay. The things that are off limits, we're going to talk about it. So make sure that you tune in next week for our episode with Annabelle.
Good hard facts.
Yep.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Yep. And with that, don't forget
go to Peter's OnlyFans.
Stay weird. Are you going to do it? Oh, I thought you were going to do the middle one.
Stay
Stay wasted.